Sanibonani. The issue about where to from here, we will engage everybody who seeks to contribute towards the stability of our country, the respect for the Constitution, and most importantly, the tolerance of diversity of the South African nation. That is what we would actually consider. Any other thing that is political about leadership, every organization has got its own internal processes, and therefore the determination by others as to who must constitute the team of the African National Congress going into the National Assembly, as well as in the provinces and in government. Due processes of the NC must be given a space, including the issues about the lists and stuff. There may be other people that are in other parties' lists that we may also not be comfortable with. And I think it is too early for us to then conclude as to exactly how we respond on the issues. We still maintain that our manifesto was sound, and that it is that basis that we must use to continue doing the work that we started with the campaign, and it must be an organizational program. The last issue I want to comment on, Comrade Mahlengi, with your permission, just to remind everybody that we had 27 million registered voters, 16 million voted, the NC got 6 of the 16 million. In 2021 local government elections, only 5 million voters voted for the NC. Post that, we now are in 2024, we have 16 million of the 27 casting their votes. Remember, there's been an increase on the registered voters. But in totality, the IEC said it's 16 million and the NC got 6, which is a growth from the last local government elections, because some amongst you had also said, were those elections, national elections, the NC would have lost. So the renewal is on course, and I do believe that, as the SG has said, we need to be given an opportunity to deal with these matters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DSG. First, I want to explain that we're going to have a National Executive Committee meeting to finalize the issues about talks and government. The ANC is going to have a National Executive Committee where we're going to go to conduct a deep analysis about the outcome of the election. Our statement that we have read guide us in relation to the outcome and what we seek to do. The outcome is directing us towards shared power with others, and that's what we are processing right now. So as to what happened to Northern Cape and all of that, it will be a consequence of this deep analysis we would have conducted about what happened there in the Northern Cape. We have seen the emergence of Patriotic Alliance, and we're running short of 1% to govern the Northern Cape outright, and so on. So we're going to make an analysis about what happened there. Our comrades in Northern Cape did well, and they worked very hard. You will know that in the Northern Cape is not the first time we are going this direction. In the past, we were here, small population and all of that, which we have had challenges at some point that brought us below 50%. So we need to make sense of what happened there, and we'll be happy to share with you our own perspective. I hear you saying, News 24, that we downplayed the polls. I don't know how and where. I speak on behalf of the National Executive Committee and the spokesperson. None of the people we deployed have ever undermined. Here is our position. Look at the scoreboard. It will determine whether the polls were wrong or right. And some of the polls, quite clearly, they were right. But we fought very hard to get out of that position. We said we don't respond to polls because some of them are ideologically defined, in a sense that they are leading a charge on behalf of others. And that's what we have said. We don't discuss polls. And to an extent that some of them were right, we see it now on the board, that they were indeed correct, that we will drop below 50%. But we worked very hard to get ourselves out of that situation. And we have never downplayed the polls. If we downplayed the polls, we ourselves would have not conducted our own research. We did conduct a research, and it told us that we will be at 43%. That is what our research told us. So you don't go to battle and confirm your situation, even to your opponents. You fight to get out of that situation. And that's what we dealt with. And that research did give us pointers, among others, why the mood was at that point. Load shedding was big on the agenda. Water was big on the agenda, and all of that. South Africans continue to give us 10 out of 10 when it comes to social protection and looking after their interests. And they support. And then we knew that low voter turnout will not be in our favor, especially in our base areas. And it is quite clear in this election, as much as we won other provinces, but low voter turnout counted against us. We knew that Zuma is a factor in KZN, and that is what our poll, also our own polling, had actually told us, if he split in the way that he does and work against the ANC. All odds will be against us. Gauteng, you're dealing with, again, it goes back to that deep analysis. In terms of Gauteng, it's an urban area, and then interests vary from one community to the other. So you will have to conduct a deep analysis about what actually happened. Did the middle class walk away from us in Gauteng? What happened? But in Gauteng, what we can say, just at the face value at the present moment, is that voter turnout in our base areas worked against us. So where to, and all the other areas, our people did not come out in numbers and vote. And you can't then say even the black middle strata have not voted for us. It looks like we shared. Those who came out to vote, they voted for us. Because if it entirely worked against us, it means Rise Mzansi will be the biggest party in South Africa today, if the results were to tell us something. Because that is the party that attracted, if you look at it, a lot of black middle strata in our communities, particularly in the urban areas. So you've got to make a deep analysis about that as to over and above the things that we know in Gauteng, like for instance, electricity. You've got people in Soweto who are without electricity. They are still without electricity up until now because transformers, they were cut out. Somebody alleged that load shedding is back during the election day because there were power outages because of city power in the base areas of Gauteng. And there were water problems and all of that. Some of those things could have contributed to dampen the resilience of people to go out and vote for the ANC. Because not turning up to vote is an enemy equally of the ANC in the election campaign, because small parties and opposition parties become beneficiaries out of that particular situation. So that we have to conduct an analysis. News 24 again, I made an example. I'm not saying we are not guided by ideology. We are guided by ideology. But the circumstances with your ideology force you to even work with people who necessarily do not share the same perspective as yours. We have had strange coalitions in this local government arrangements that we have. Even with people who said that we will not work with the ANC, but the outcome of the elections becomes something else. And then you must then begin to define models of the working together. The problem with the local government arrangement, it does not have models. It is just working together. A mayor changes, a mayor changes over a weekend, and then you go and work with others. National government, you want to achieve stability, constitutionality, the rule of law, all of those things must then begin to guide us in this particular. But equally, how do you satisfy the interest of the ANC constituency that voted those 6 million people and more? How are they going to be served by the working relations between parties? Or is just, there is no honor among thieves, let's work together? It doesn't work like that. You've got to think deep and hard. And that's what we're doing, I can assure you. And we can assure you, as the ANC, we are applying our mind and all of that in terms of this. So I don't say that we are not guided by ideology. We do. And we are guided also by principles. And how do we serve the interest of the people of South Africa better? And the glue that brings us together is South Africanness. Yeah. And then South Africa as a country, as a nation, must exist beyond narrow political interest. We've got to serve the people of this country. And that is what is important. And the constitutionality is very important. We can't just throw the constitution away. Talks about talks. We talk to people who are willing to talk to us, but equally the scoreboard guide us. Okay? It guides us that here is the meaningful party you've got to talk to. You don't just talk to everyone because it's time to talk. But even those who don't have the numbers, you talk to them. If they are willing to work with you. Others don't even bother. I saw Maimani has resigned himself from president candidate to a willing backbencher. And you see a person like those and all of that. And there are all sorts of models you need to work on. And you've got to agree to with people you are talking to. Would you want to consider a government of national unity? So there's a whole lot of things that you need to. And if I want to work with you on a bilateral basis, what are we able to offer? And then those are the things that we need to look at in terms of our engagement. Pointing fingers we will not help the ANC because those fingers are many. They are many, they are more than 10. They are quite abnormal. There is no victor in losing. But we are all victors when we win. Everyone wants to claim victory. The blame game will kick in. Certain things, so and so did not do this. There's no principled leader in an organization, especially like ours, who work like that. You want to rise at the expense of others. You don't want to take responsibility. When you are a leadership, you sit down, you analyze. This is what we are going to do. and say, where did we go wrong? You don't rise at the expense of others. Maybe certain things we could have done them better and all of that. And then you look at also the good things that you have done. And what is it that you need to consolidate as leadership? So those are the things leadership will help us in terms of its convergence and meeting. Blame game, even the rumors are dangerous because you don't know who's fueling the rumors. Because the rumors could be coming from your opponents and your enemies to annihilate you politically. So you've got to be careful about the rumors. Things that just get to be said overnight. You don't want to accept the reality that you lost in KZN free and fair to Jacob Zuma. You want to blame it on somebody. If others have aided Jacob Zuma, it's their choice. But the fact of the matter is that as we speak today, Jacob Zuma is a force to be reckoned in the politics of this South Africa. He is now 14% on the board. He has surpassed EFF. Nobody has surpassed us. We're still there with a reduced majority. But these ones have been surpassing each other. So Zuma have displaced EFF. He will have, I'm sure, more than 50 MPs there in Parliament. So he's a force to be reckoned with in terms of his party and in terms of the outcome of this election. So I'm just stating a reality. I'm not manufacturing my own thing. So I'm just explaining the fact that it doesn't serve the ANC or anyone for finger pointing. That is the fact. Junior, was the ANC, you accuse us of being arrogant. We have not been. And it's a very interesting assertion that you are making, that we came across as arrogant. I don't think so. We humbled ourselves to the people, and we seek to do things differently and engage the people. Because if you are arrogant, you don't talk to the people. You take it as given that the people will support you. I've given you a detailed account what we have done in this election to fight the demon of low voter turnout of our people walking away from the ANC. We knocked on their doors. We asked them because we saw the danger. And we have done everything. Whether we have done everything to the point where we say we exhausted everything, in the book, we will look into that when we meet and when we get a report. ENCA, the will of the people will be reflected in our engagement. That is the starting point. Entertaining everybody, I've explained, it's not just that. We are engaging with everybody who matters in terms of the outcome of the election. And we are not, I can assure you, we are not running to people. Hey, when he goes to the bathroom, come this side. We are not pulling people by their jackets. No, we are not. Not this time around. We are not. We will talk to people, sense and politics and models. We will engage. If you come to us with terms and all of that, we are not in that game. Given an examination to write again, those things we're not going to do. You remember when we were engaging last time, other political parties gave us an exam to write. If you come to us with that mentality, forget, just go. Just go on your own. We are not afraid to go to the benches. We are not. That must be very clear to everybody. We are not arrogant not to work with anyone, because the people of South Africa have shown us what their wish is. And don't second guess us and lie about us that we've got a pact. I know Samkelo is asking a very provocative question about Tony Leon. Why do you talk about Tony Leon, you don't talk about other parties who are talking to us? And then you raise Tony Leon because you are peddling the lie that the ANC is gravitating to the right, is having a deal, all with the DA, it is a done deal. DA has got the respect for itself as a political party, it has got a constituency. The ANC has got a constituency, it has got leadership. It applies principles and all of that. So there's a lie that has been going around to preempt any discussion, maybe between the ANC and the DA or whoever. It's not possible to do that to us. And you say, we must then go to terms with others. No. We have read it in the papers that certain parties have made demands. Our president must go, so and so, this and that. We don't know up until we meet eye for an eye. We have had some of them from this platform of the media saying all sorts of things. But we've never had anyone saying they are not prepared to work with us. So I've explained we are entertaining everyone who matters in terms of the election outcome. Because the election outcome have told us that the ANC is number 1, DA is number 2, Zuma is number 3, EFF is number 4. And then others follow on the bottom. We'll get the results today. And they will tell us. ANC number 1, DA number 2. We've got 6 million people who have voted for us to continue. We've got to respect them. We can't just throw the towel. We've got to respect those people, respect South Africans who still want the ANC to continue to be in power and lead. And how we're going to deal with that is going to be in the detail of principles and how we're going to safeguard ourselves. And not only for ourselves, but for South Africa. For South Africa's stability and moving forward. So, the long and short of it, I'm saying we will not be bullied. And if we go to the benches, you will see the biggest opposition ever. You have never seen in this country, ever, in the National Assembly. And we are not arrogant as though we have won power when we have not won power. We have not won power. Talk to Inkatha Freedom Party, yes, we will. And everyone else. NFP, we will. If Musa Maimani, I don't know how many they are, Musi Maimani, or whoever want to talk, we will engage with everybody. So that's what I'm saying. Samkele, did structures betray us? That is a very problematic question. We don't just come out of the election and blame structures. We have worked very hard for our victory. We need to analyze that phenomenon of KZN and the MK party. You see, when you look at the MK party, they collected some votes in Gauteng, and then they collected a big chunk in Mpumalanga, and then they lost everywhere in the country. So you've got to analyze that phenomenon as to how has it manifested itself. It goes back to that deep analysis we are going to conduct. Now, you are not going to conduct an analysis by starting to blame your structures and then start to see enemies all over. We knew Zuma will get support, but not this much. To be honest with you, we knew he will get support, but not this much. Our biggest worry based on the last election, and as we do work in KZN, was Inkatha Freedom Party. And also the posture the Royal House has taken in this election. And by so saying, because it was moving away from us and all sorts of factors, and getting into politics of aiding the IFP in this election. So we are not in the blame game to say that, we cannot be blamed. We are stating the facts. As we got into this election, everyone wanted us down, and including the media. And you did your part, but we can't blame you. But you did. I mean, the notion of change began to take a different dimension in the queues and everywhere else. So it happened, and so we stood our ground and we fought very hard and we lost. Did we commit mistakes? Yes, we did. We did commit mistakes in governance and everywhere else. We need to analyze those mistakes. What are those? We don't do them. And then we need to analyze the bleeding that has been brought by JZ forming a party. If Zuma, let's say, he didn't form MK party, he supported the ANC, we wouldn't be here talking about so and so. We would have crossed maybe to 8 million, even in a low voter turnout, cushioned by KZN and parts of Gauteng. And faced with a low voter turnout, we would have crossed. So it did eat into our base, and that is how difficult this election was, you know, and the EFF and so on. So not everyone got what they wanted, but we got a beating, most, to be below 50%. Now, democracy normalizes. You navigate through these processes. We have only seen this in advanced democracies in Europe, people navigating through coalitions. So we are in the era of coalitions. It started in local government. We are now at national government. So we need to study all the models of coalitions, how they've worked for stability of countries and all of that, even ourselves, without compromising the constituencies that we serve. So there are different models that we look at. And even political parties, I'm certain wherever they are not stooges of the ANC. They are applying their mind. Now that the election results are out, what is their thinking? Not rebel arousing, not rebel rousers, and threatening other political parties. Think now about the country, its direction, and what we need to do. So we hope in the discussions that we have, we'll have sensible, progressive to a certain extent, and some may be backward, and others coming with demands. But we want a discussion of what we are thinking about going forward. Samkelo says disband KZN. We have not taken that decision.
Listen to the question properly.
Why didn't we disband?
The question is, why did you not act as per what you found in your NWC visit last year, where you found a lot of problems in the region, and you found that your structures were weak, and there were recommendations in place to take action against the structure? My interpretation is not what you said, it's my interpretation. When I start by saying disband KZN, at the final end and analysis of what you are saying, my interpretation is that disband. Disband now, or why didn't you disband before? And thank you for your interruption. That's how tolerant we are, Junior Kuman. We are not arrogant. We allow some Kelo just to interrupt us. You have the problem of losing power. Because no, you are not in power, you see. You can no longer be what you want to be. So but I'm saying, there was never such a recommendation to disband the structure. At that time when we visited, we analyzed all the weaknesses that were there, and then we have acted on some.
weaknesses together with the province. And we now have this particular result, which collectively we will analyze when that time comes, and so on. We also, I saw there was a letter circulating on Sunday Times that KZN was forewarned how to handle the matter of Jacob Zuma. The reality people must understand is that how the Jacob Zuma issue has erupted, you may think was stoppable. It was unstoppable because Zuma closed a void that was there in terms of the politics of the country. And that void that he closed has impacted negatively to the ANC. And it has not favored Inkatha in KZN. It has not favored us. It has served him very well. Because once that void of a father figure leader coming out in KwaZulu-Natal, it then favored Jacob Zuma in this particular instance. It's a matter that we will analyze for days to come in relation to how the ANC deals with the outcome of this particular election. And the ANC will make that analysis together with its own structures in KwaZulu-Natal. They will either confirm or not confirm some of the things that have been said, that certain people worked with MK Party whilst they are inside the ANC. We will draw that report and look into all of those things, and we deal with them. Who is negotiating with Tony Leon and all of that? I don't know. We are engaging with everybody. I'm not aware that as the person accounting for negotiations and engagements, that there is a separate channel of that particular sort. But if it serves the purpose of what we are about in terms of talks about talks, it will come to our table. And we will consider it. Channels of negotiating with people are not one way. And then there are many channels that are undertaken by political parties. Somebody from a political party might say that I don't want to talk to Mbalula. I'd rather go Nomvula because we have said things in the campaign and somebody doesn't take it nicely. So you twist and turn, but parties engage in different ways, and all of that guided by their own way of doing things. MTN TV parties, what they actually prefer in relation to positions. You have heard people saying we want finance, we want. That's the last thing in the discussions. That's the last thing. Easy food. Ukwabelana, ubengelana. No, that's easy. You can take home affairs, you can take transport, you can take economy, you can do that. That's easy. The discussions are about what do we want to achieve out of this country, given the outcome of the election. So we believe that when we engage with political parties, the posture will not be the one of exchanging. That is the last thing that is easy to achieve in the discussions when it comes to positions. Norman, City Press, does ANC have non-negotiables? We've got a perspective that is guiding us, which we have shared with you about how we engage with coalitions and what are our intentions. And then we will answer that question when we come back, after we have concluded our discussions with political parties, but also after we have reported to the National Executive Committee. So this is not the last press conference on this matter. So the next one that is going to come, it will outline the perspective, agreements, if there is any, talks that have not taken off, have not produced any result, we will give you that feedback. Give us that space. Tuesday we have an NEC meeting. After the NEC meeting, we will again convene you and give you a feedback of the National Executive Committee. In terms of what the NEC itself will have benefited from the work that the officials are doing and the National Working Committee. So we will give you that feedback after the NEC, the direction we are basically taking. How many parties we are talking to? We are talking with everybody who's significant. And anyone who has not achieved a bigger result but is interested to work with us. So there are many people who have approached us who are here. But the most important, when you come out of an election, you look at the leaderboard and then it will tell you who you must talk to. Because that is the outcome of an election and that reflects the will of the people. The will of the people. The will of the people have given us 6 million. ANC, go and talk to others. Who are those? And that is what is important. So we are engaging. And then we have been approached and we are talking to everyone because we don't have the power to constitute government on our own and do things on our own. We've got to talk to others. How are we going to... Former leaders are not used. Former leaders are not used. I'm told our time is up here. Former leaders are not used. They are members of the ANC. And then they've been invited. So the outcome of what has happened affects all of us. So let's not use the word used. Nobody has resigned from the ANC except the only one you know. But even himself, he still say he's still a member. So all people are in the fold of the African National Congress. So I wish to thank you and thank everybody. And I'm told our time is up here. And thank you. You still want something, Samkela? Yes? One?
Thank you. Mr. Baru, just on that particular issue, there's one question you never answered on the ideology that if you decide to go DA, it will lead to the biggest split within the party since the PAC. Where do you go in that particular perspective? Where your own members have said DA is a no-no. If you go that route, you will obliterate politically.
Samkela, as I conclude, you listen to all sorts of people who call themselves ANC. ANC, whatever decision it will arrive at the end of the day, we will still come back to you after the National Executive Committee meeting. ANC understands that the outcome of the elections do not favor us. There are political parties, there is a country to be run, and then there are various models we need to engage with. Unfortunately, things are not guided by inertia and rigidity. Yes, you are principled, you are ideological. How do you navigate with your 6 million in the politics of the country? You've got 6 million people, which is strong on the leaderboard. How do you navigate with them, with that number, to govern this country with others? And that is what is important. Yeah. So the rigidity and that's not what is guiding us. We are guided by the ideology, we are guided by the principles, but equally we are guided by the interest of people who have voted for the ANC, who have said that we don't want you to be out of power. We are not going to entertain smear campaign and locking us into a corner when we don't have powers to do so. We and the DA, we are like water and oil. At the end of the day, our constituencies have placed us where we are, where we can't govern outright on our own. That's why we talk about outright majority. Right? And other people have got demands that they have and all of that and so on. You've got to not weigh up, engage. That is why I'm saying We will not be in a position to entertain an exam paper now, because the exam paper is not going to take us anywhere. We've got to engage with the issue of the models, but at the same time, where we want to go to. Positions, you want to become a minister of this and that, that's an easy task to perform. So from here, as we conclude, tomorrow we're in the NWC and the officials meeting. Tuesday we're in the NEC meeting. On Wednesday, we will be able to brief you about, as it goes now, we're talking to everybody. It is talks about talks. So don't ever raise a question, hey, why did you meet with so and so? I've briefed you now.
Even with FF Plus.
Yes, even with FF Plus. We are talking because we don't have power. But we are talking, but we are not begging. We are not going to beg anybody. But we respect the will of the people and the outcome the people of South Africa have given us. So we can't be strutting like peacocks when we have not been given status to strut. So we've got to engage and understand that we're engaging, we're talking with everybody, what makes sense to us. And people have got constituencies too. Their constituencies, what they want must be respected. We too, we've got constituencies, Samkele, we've got members, and we've got feelers on the ground. We know what ANC members feel. Equally, there are ANC members who've got a different view, who says that, no, don't work with so and so. So we take emotions out, we deal with principles, and we deal with models. That's what is important. How you feel now about so and so doesn't matter. Because if you've got feelings, you will not end up talking to everybody. The elections have humbled us, they've brought us where we are, and therefore we've got to talk to everyone. Even notamkhulu wethu, faneka sikhulumile naye. Yabona, unless yena akafuna ukukhuluma nathi, thina faneka sikhulumile naye. And then that is it. And then when all of those things are done and dusted, we'll be able to give direction and give you where we are going. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the press, for your time and your questions. Thank you.